Hello. Let's play that intro.
Hi, this is Natalie Lander, voice of Kinsey, Tara Branford, Stargirl, and many others. You are listening to a W2M Net podcast. You can visit W2Mnet.com for other podcasts about entertainment, video games, sports, and wrestling. You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Games to the Max. This is episode 281 of the show, and whether this is your first time listening or watching on YouTube, thank you so much for checking us out today. And of course, I'm not alone here. With me, as always, Mr. Beck Larson.
Howdy.
And I am your host, of course, Sean Garmer. And of course, this is the official video games podcast at WTMnet.com. And also in partnership with Last Word on Gaming. And well, there is a lot to talk about here, Mark, this week. I thought at first we were going to kind of have a slow week, and then things kind of exploded and then kind of kept going on from there. And then already today is going to be the unveil of whatever that thing was, or whatever that thing is going to be from EA. And then, of course, you have the EA Play thing in a couple of days as well, which keeps getting less and less exciting every time they announce that there's not going to be this thing there. So going to be interesting what they actually show at the event, Mark. But just to, start off, as we always do, talking about the games we're playing. I haven't been playing a whole lot of anything. I played a little bit more Scarlet Nexus, but I haven't really been trying to. I had writer's block for a while with the Chicory Colorful Tale review, but now I think I'm kind of getting to what I want to say. It's hard when you really love a game, and there's not really a lot wrong with it, but there's also a lot that you want to say, but you don't want to sit there and have a 30,000 word freaking thing that nobody's going to read either. So trying to get that all together is not the easiest thing in the world either, but I think I've kind of got it going, and hopefully I can get it done tomorrow. So that's my deal with gaming this week. Mark, you have been playing some stuff, so what's going on with that?
Yeah, me and Jens finished It Takes Two. We didn't 100% it. That'll come later in the week, but we finished the main story. It was fun.
Any different thoughts from last time now that you finished it, or?
Not really. I mean, it's still a good puzzle game. Good puzzle platformer. Yeah. Story was fine, but I mean, the last world is pretty cool. It was this musical world, or musical concert level. But yeah, overall good. A good co-op game for sure. Yeah.
I mean, that's the important part. I think that's Randy, who reviewed it, played with his girlfriend. He said that's what he loved about it as well. It's a great co-op game, and perhaps the best one of the bunch for Joseph Fares and his Hazelight Studios.
Yeah. What else? I finally beat Nocturne. Okay. I had one thing left to do. I beat it once, and then I was going to try to get all the burial chambers. I took kind of like a boss rush mode. You have to beat the bosses, but under a certain turn limit. Mm-hmm. And some of those are brutal, so I said screw it. I got really dejected from that.
Well, I mean, at least you beat it, so that's...
Yeah, it's beat this one boss in under 4 turns, and I'm like, I can't do that. Or I could, but it requires so much backtracking and powering up that I don't want to be here for another 100 hours. The big one I started playing was Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart. Yeah, it's interesting. It's good, but it's not grabbing me the way that the last one did, the 2016 one did.
Why is it that it's
And
not grabbing you here?
I think it's twofold. One, I'm not hugely sold on Rivet, the female Lombax, as like a character. And then two, it's like weird because they basically split up Ratchet and Clank. Like Clank goes with Rivet, and I just got the female equivalent of Clank for Ratchet. I think her name is going to be Katie or something. But it's weird because it's like why wouldn't Ratchet just meet them on some planet and go, "Hey, give me back my fucking robot"? Like, there's no real reason why Clank would want to stay with her. Like, and then like aside from that, like, so it seems like every stage basically alternates characters. Like one stage you play as Rivet, and the next stage you play as like Ratchet, but they have the same moves and in the same inventory. So it's super weird. Like, why wouldn't she have an alternate like inventory or like weapons loadout?
I mean, but isn't that the point? You kind of share them between the two,
but they're not sharing because they don't meet.
Yeah.
Like it's not that. Yeah. I mean, yeah, if they were like in concert, that'd be one thing, but they're not. They're like separated. So it's like, okay, I picked up, the bomb with Ratchet, and then I start playing as her, and she has it, and it's like, why would she have it? Like, and then like, oh, I'm playing as her, and I get this electric weapon, and then when I go back to Ratchet, he has it, and it's like, well, what? Why? Like,
yeah.
I mean, they could have wrote around that by just having to go to the weapon vendor and say, oh, it's now it's unlocked for this character, and then you pick it up, but they don't. It's just like automatic. So it feels super weird. Like it's like this, huh? And then, so at least so far, they haven't really done much with the like dimensional part of the equation.
Yeah, like from when Randy reviewed it, he said it was kind of like they made it a bigger deal than it really was.
Yeah, like you go to this alternate world where it's like, okay, the bad guy in like the regular world is like now really evil and he took over the dimension or whatever. But you go to like no other dimensions, or I mean you do, but they're like side areas essentially, or like bonus rooms. So it's like, why have this conceit of like dimensions are collapsing in on one another, or everything's going haywire when you're basically stuck in this other, that's like even more evil dimension for like so far all the game.
Yeah.
But the combat's good. I mean, it's still a good game to like find hidden stuff in. The map is really helpful. I mean, it's good, but it's just not grabbing me for some reason. And I get the feeling there's like a lot of hidden stuff in the game. So I mean, I'll probably 100% it, or I'll believe me, I'll blow through this game.
There is a lot to collect, even though you don't have to like collect everything to get the platinum.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, it's just really weird, like the way that like they kind of hand-wring the story, or it's just not vibing with me personally. And like she has like, I mean, Ratchet and Clank, like they have, even like the first game had some motivation, or like she has like Rivet has like almost no motivation. It's just like, okay, she's trying to bring down the Emperor, but it's like it's not explained like who she is as a character, or like why what he did to her, or like what happened.
Right.
It reminds me of Rogue One in a sense.
Oh.
The Jyn Erso, like 5 minutes into the movie, she's an adult in prison, or on that like prison truck, and she escapes, and it's like, well, she doesn't have a motivation for this. Like how is she in jail? Why is she in jail? What did she do from when she was 5 years old to now? It's almost the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my 2 cents. I mean, we'll see. I'll keep playing the game for sure.
I mean, I hope you wind up liking it, because it's.
Yeah, and the weapon. Also, the other thing is, I mean, personally, the weapons really aren't doing a ton for me. The I have like 3 different weapons, and you just throw them out, and it's like, I mean, this is fine, but like it's almost slightly overwhelming in a sense because like I just keep chucking out these like bombs or Mr. Fungi, which are like turrets, or these like plant growth things, and I'm like, I'm barely shooting in these sequences,
Yeah.
or I'm shooting just to like level my weapon up, not to actually like really do anything.
Yeah, I mean, but that's like, isn't that part of the point? You're trying to find the weapon, I guess, that works best for you, and
Yeah, but I'm not really
right?
sticking with any. I'm not. Well, it's not really like best for me because I mean, I already have more weapons than I know what to do with, so
Yeah,
I'm just blowing through ammo on like one weapon, and it's like, all right, so time to switch to another one.
fair
And
enough.
like I like using the wrench, and so like in this game, it's like so not used at all.
Yeah, they definitely want you to be playing more with the guns and everything.
Right.
It's like,
Uh, but yeah, good. Also good platforming. I mean, it's very well made, but yeah, it's just not hooking me like the last one did. To be fair, the last one is the first one I actually got into that series. So
well, and I think a lot of people would be like, "Man, you should have gotten into the other ones," and I just allowed
I
it. So,
I mean, I played the first one, and then I tried to play the second one, and I didn't like those early ones because like it was like you'd like lock to the ground, and then you could like strafe around, so that felt really awkward. And like L2 and R2 were like used to like jump left and right,
yeah,
and I said this doesn't feel good. Like
yeah,
this one and the last one, it's a lot more natural with how you can like dodge around with like that type of stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, good game so far.
yeah. Hopefully, you'll get more into it, but I think it does kind of go into that. I mean, if you really, really love Ratchet, I think there's a lot there for you. If it's, I think it certainly there's a spectacle to it as well. So if you're enjoying that about your PS5 being like the big PS5 game,
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, as a showcase game, it's one of the best.
right?
But
Well,
and I play a little more Metroid Zero Mission, and I still like Fusion better.
well, at least you played it more of it to be able to give that
Yeah,
experience. So.
I finally ordered a copy of my last SNES game that I need for my collection.
Which one is that?
Mega Man X2,
That's a good one to have there.
which is expensive to get also.
That is very true.
Yeah. I've seen more copies of like X3 than X2, and X3 is like the one that actually really costs money.
Yeah, I've had with that, but yeah, I mean, well, I think that we kind of covered the whole games we're playing.
Yeah.
Glad we got to talk about a Ratchet for a little bit there, at least.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, so definitely, I will say I just got a code for Death's Door, so I'll definitely have that to talk about next week. And as I continue to play Scarlet Nexus for a review, and of course I'll be reviewing Death's Door. Also going to be playing Chris Tales, which I know hits like pretty much as soon as we're landing on video or even the audio version it unlocks for Game Pass, or if you want to buy it on Switch or PS5 or PS4 or whatever you want to play it on. So there's that at least, but you know, there's definitely games coming out soon, and that's what's cool about it is we're getting into the at least the part of July where there's games coming, and next week it's even more, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But speaking of getting games, the day before Ubisoft announced that they were going to be revealing a new game in the Tom Clancy series, and then all of a sudden we get a game called XDefiant. Well, that certainly is a name. I don't think anybody would have told me. Well, come to try to think of the name for the new Ubisoft game. XDefiant certainly would not have been on the list there. What did you think of? I mean, have you watched the trailer? It was about like 3 minutes. And
Oh,
you also had a dev interview.
oh yeah, I watched it.
You did? Okay.
I think it's terrible.
Oh man.
I think it's one of the most like shameless things Ubisoft has done.
Why would you call it that?
I mean, I think it's embarrassing. That's the thing.
Embarrassing. Wow.
It has the aesthetic of Rage 2 mixed in with that Gotham City Imposters game from like a decade ago.
Yeah.
It looks, I mean, like the visuals look awful, I think. Like they're going for like, oh, it's a punk rock game. It's like,
punk rock game.
Yeah, Ubisoft, the
And then
kings of punk rock.
using teams from like various games in the Tom Clancy series as well. So, like I don't know if that's the best go for that, but I mean, I guess credit for trying on that end. If you're watching on video, we're showing parts of the trailer here as well. I mean, like, I don't know. I just keep all I can think of is, okay, we're trying to sort of do like a hero shooter.
Well,
but
it's supposed to be like I saw it's supposed to be like Overwatch, and it's like
hero shooter.
Okay, the thing with Overwatch is it nicely balances. I mean, especially Overwatch 2, but more Overwatch 1 is like, okay, two tanks, two healers, 2 damage. That makes sense. This thing they're adding in a support class, so it's like, well, the teams are still 6 characters or 6 players, so that's inherently unbalanced. Like, what are you gonna have? Like 1 tank, 1 healer, 2 damage, 2 support, or and then they were like, oh, it's supposed to be a realistic shooter. They kept saying like, oh, we have realistic guns, and it's like, what, like the nano health cloud and the energy shields and pop-up turrets. Oh, realistic like that, huh?
Yeah.
It's honestly, it's competing with themselves because they already got Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah, they have 6 Siege. You have the Extraction coming next year. So, like, you already have a bunch of different shooters, and not to mention your other library of games. Far Cry's coming. I mean, like, I get that they like having these games that they can do sort of like as a service. And this is another one of those. If it catches on, they can kind of just keep iterating on it and keep doing more with it. I mean, Ubisoft, they've become the king of this kind of game. Of just, let's keep pumping out content for it. And then people will eventually just come. And it's worked for them so far. So
I see no reason for people to come. It's because they already got Siege, and the art style isn't enough for people to come. I mean, personally, like I said, I think the game looks awful.
Yeah, we'll have to see. They're developing it still. Like, they didn't, show a release date or anything for this. It's not like, Yeah, I mean, it's not like we're just gonna like have it come out tomorrow, whatever. There's still a lot of work being done, and remember they're still doing a lot of this, remotely or whatever. So hopefully it'll look better as far as a like finished product when it comes out.
No, I think the look is pretty locked into place personally. Like, I mean, it's not like
not the look. I'm just saying like better polish and better.
Well, it's not like the technical aspects of it look bad. I mean, like the artistic side looks awful.
You don't like the look of the teams,
no, like they look like Mad Max rejects, or like I said, they look like they're from like Rage too.
Well, I mean, they are going for that punk aspect, So there was a lot of that in Rage.
That doesn't work in gaming. Like I can think of like no game that does that well.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Rage didn't do that.
What it's supposed to look like Anarchy Online too. It's like, no, thank you. And then everyone's excited. Everyone's hoping for new Splinter Cell, and it's like, nope, another year of you have to wonder like, does the Ubisoft CEO just hate the franchise, or what's going on? Like, it's been almost 10 years. It's like Metroid or something like that. It's almost been 10 years since the last like real Splinter Cell game, and they keep putting like Sam Fisher in like Wildlands or that stupid mobile game, or now it's this one.
Maybe it's just one of those things where they feel like they can't. It's just something that for some reason, even though people want out of nostalgia, like they can't do a lot with it afterwards. And I can't imagine. Are they worried they're gonna mess it up? Like, I mean, it's just like I can't fathom why people have been wanting this game to come back, and you're not gonna give them that, right? You're not gonna even like remaking one of the games that already exists, right? Like,
or even just like an HD port, like the first 3 or whatever. Do that.
Yeah, like a collection or something to test if people will buy it, like Nintendo does, or like we've seen other companies do. Activision did it with Crash. I mean, like, if you buy this and show us that you actually really do care about the franchise, like you say you keep, as you keep saying you do, then we'll make a new one. But it's like, man, you don't even give the people the opportunity. It's weird in a world that we live in with so many freaking remakes and remasters coming out. I mean, EA is about to show off Dead Space 1 remake in a couple of days, as long as the rumors are correct, which pretty much everything's pointing to that. And like, man, it's just a crazy world where Ubisoft, and it's not like Ubisoft's up here we're going to be a bastion for all these great like new games that we're doing. It's like, oh, well, we tell you that we're doing these free-to-play things now, and then, oh yeah, we're making Assassin's Creed a live service. It's not like we're really like creating new worlds and new IPs or whatever. We're just doing more stuff with what we got.
No, they are. It just takes them forever to actually come out. Like, Skull and Bones or Wild or Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Well, those two are probably not even going to come out now because someone's not there. So, like,
they claim they are. I mean, Wild is supposed to be out like last generation. I mean, come on.
Well, yeah, we know that, but I'm just saying, like, the point is, like, Skull and Bones just keeps getting. And that is something that they can do a live service kind of thing with that too. Like, it keeps getting delay because I think they had to figure out what they wanted it to be for a while. Like, and then all of a sudden it goes back in, and that thing could possibly join the ranks of Wild and Beyond Good and Evil, and just get like quietly canceled if they can't figure out what they want to do with it. I mean, it's crazy that this game has existed as long as. What did it get revealed? Like 2019?
Which one?
It's Skull and Bones.
I think maybe in 2018. I mean, I don't know. Like, that thing's been around forever. It seems like
it's like 2017.
Yeah,
E3 2017 is when they first showed that cinematic trailer for Skull and Bones, and then everything else about it is delays. Oh, they showed it off again at 2018 or whatever, where they had like a little bit of a gameplay like walkthrough for it or whatnot. It's crazy that it's crazy that they have all of these games that are in that same vein of where we're just doing all this, and then again, why can't there be why can't there be a Splinter Cell being made right now? Like, I don't understand what the trepidation is with this. Like, no, we can't do it. It's like, you definitely have the support. I mean, look at all these other.
And the fact, like I said, the fact they keep like shoving Sam Fisher and like third echelon into these like garbage games. It's like, what, you want to pour salt on the wound? Like,
yeah. It's nuts to me. I don't know. It's like the only thing people have wanted, and then the worst thing is you tease it's a Tom Clancy game. So like, that everybody is going to be excited about the fact that
when I think Tom Clancy, I think punk rock video game.
Yeah, it's like, that's one of those things where, I mean, the other stuff that you make with Tom Clancy's name fits in a way. Like, but the stuff you do with like this, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I don't want to hate on something that hasn't come out, but I wouldn't be surprised if this finds its audience. Just like,
it's at least free to play. I mean, of course it'll help.
That'll help a lot, but I'm just saying, like, I think there's gonna be people that are gonna find this, that like Overwatch 2 ain't coming out anytime soon.
Even like free to play games, like even some of those fail. Like this is like a failure for me from top to bottom.
Yeah,
because it has like no story, which is what you kind of expect or want like a Tom Clancy game. I mean, not all the time, but then like them going like, oh, the action's realistic. It's like, what? Like I said, with like the pop up shoot turrets and all all the like sci-fi crap. It's like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
I think it's me and that guy Jed were talking about it on Twitter earlier, like during the trailer, and it's like, wow, this looks terrible.
Yeah.
And like, I think GameSpot was like, oh, beta signups now, start play the game in August, and his response was, yeah, the servers will be shut down next August.
Yeah, they were really pushing for that. Was the hey, you can sign up right now for the beta or whatever, and I'm sure there will be people that do it.
I hope the only beta response is either don't do this or why are you doing this?
Yeah. Well, speaking of, just because we're on the Ubisoft topic, they did delay Rainbow Six Extraction to January 2022. So that's another game that is now coming out in 2022. Riders Republic also got delayed by about like almost 2 months. And they also delayed the beta. So that's coming later than anticipated as well. Hopefully it doesn't come out so late that it winds up just being a demo and not like an actual beta that people can learn from. But I feel like that's going to be another thing that I thought it actually showed well at E3. It's one of the things at the Ubisoft conference that I thought, like, improved its stance instead of like getting worse. But interesting that they had to delay it again, but good that they didn't just try to rush it out there as they've tried to do with other Ubisoft games in the past.
Yeah,
and we know how that turned out for them. So yeah, just wanted to mention that since we're already on the Ubisoft tick there for this. But let's talk a little bit about Nintendo before we get into the other big announcement of the week. Nintendo came out, I think it is today, and because there was a report from Bloomberg a few days ago saying that basically whatever's in the Nintendo Switch OLED model that Nintendo is charging the $50 for shouldn't be that price. It should be $10 and with everything, and that basically Nintendo is trying to up their profit margins and all this other everything by charging $50 more for it. And at first you kind of think about it like, well, Nintendo's not really selling it at a loss at the moment. So, I mean,
OLED prices have gone down. Yeah. The components have gone down because they're older, obviously. Also, more importantly, Nintendo's a business.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they want to make money. They're not doing this out of the generosity of their own pocket, or out of their own heart. Like, they want money. Like, I think they denied it, saying like, "Oh, that it costs more or something." But
Yeah.
even if it
Well, they
doesn't,
were telling their investors that it costs, the same. That it's not something that you should be getting upset about the fact that we're like
also,
trying to dupe people here.
Like, they're not forcing you to buy it. It's not like they're going like, "Oh, you can't play your old Switch anymore. You have to buy this model for $50 more."
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just people have gotten in the mindset like, "Oh, new Nintendo console, I gotta go buy it immediately in every different color." It's like, no, like,
for a while on Walmart, I think it didn't sell out instantly. It did take a little bit on some of the stores.
I think I saw the white one was like the best selling one.
Yeah, the white one sold out, I think, pretty much quickly. When you already have the regular model that has the same colors, which is what surprised me, like, why wouldn't you have picked a different color scheme for the second version of the OLED? Because there's already a regular Switch that has those neon colored ones. I don't think people want. I get it. It was the most popular version of the two, but it's like, people, do they really want the same colors for what's supposed to be a new version of the Switch? So, that's the thing is, I get it. At the end of the day, they're selling you something that's pretty much similar and doesn't really offer almost anything except for the LAN port for people that play mostly docked. But, again, like you said, they're not forcing you to buy this either. If you already have a Switch, you don't have to buy this thing. If you don't have a Switch, then there's the version you want. You're paying $50 for a nicer screen and for all the other accoutrements that come with it. Also the really nice looking dock, I think, and just the colors as well. But it's like, again, you don't have to buy this. If you do, you very well know that it costs more, and if you want to go do the research as to why it costs more, do it yourself.
Also, like, what's the own it? Why is it a problem if Nintendo makes money off this thing? Who cares?
Well, there's also the chip shortage too. Like, people should take that into account. I think as well when you're talking about this.
I imagine this thing is exactly like the old Switch. It's just a new screen. So I'll be curious, like, when like the tech YouTubers when the tech YouTubers get this thing and crack it open and go like, "Oh, here are the differences between the old model and the new model," or even the new model, because they had that like 2 years ago with the like slightly better processor and battery.
Mm-hmm. Which it should be basically that one.
But, yeah. And like, I imagine if you had the screen, obviously you'd be able to transplant the new screen into the old Switch. aside from like the bezel situation, but I imagine it's the same connector and everything.
Yeah, all that'll be the same. They don't really want to be making separate parts for that thing and all that.
So of course they're gonna make money off this.
I guess the other big note was that they went and said there is no other Switch model being worked on at this time, even though they said the same thing in February, and here we are with the new Switch OLED model. So, do you believe that? I still feel like there's something in the works. Like, I just can't believe that Breath of the Wild 2 is going to come out in a year or two, and you're not going to have something new to pair with that. Like, I don't know.
I still don't believe that, because like the Switch isn't. It's slightly out of date, but the reason Breath of the Wild didn't like look or perform great on the Switch initially was it was the Wii U version, or it's like it wasn't designed for the Switch.
But you're having games now that come out now, and they're having problems running.
Yeah, so, but they're not Nintendo games. They're all it's all like the third party crap that they're trying to port it over from a PS4. It's like no wonder it doesn't work well.
Right, but I think we're definitely going to see it with Arceus when it comes out. It's gonna have some of the problems that we saw with Sword and Shield, and like So I just definitely think that we're gonna have this is gonna keep showing its age. It's gonna help a little bit, but I definitely think I just don't. I cannot. Maybe it is that they're not wanting to talk about it because it's not going to be a Switch Pro. It's going to be a Switch 2 by that point because we might be talking about 2 more years down the line. So in 6 years, you're going to iterate and do a Switch Pro. Like by that point, you're almost talking about you might as well start thinking about a Switch 2.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is it's really got to have. I mean, it doesn't have to because it's Nintendo. They don't have to even try to get anywhere near close to the PS5 or Series X or even do 4K for that matter. They could basically just try to do the Xbox Series S and say, okay, well, this is our next system, and you can maybe do 1440p with it, and cool. But hey, you can still play. I wouldn't be surprised if they do a Switch 2 if it's still 720p in handheld, because then you're gonna really have to jack up the price if you do 1080p in handheld. So, as we're gonna talk about with the other handheld that was announced here this week, they even did a 720p screen. So it's not like and they're charging more with some other SKUs. So like I think it's interesting. This is what it is. It will be much more interesting if we do get any kind of improvement to the Switch at all. But I just can't imagine that you're not going to do anything with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 coming out. You're not going to have anything. I still think that Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 is still so far away that they definitely can't say we're not working on anything, because even if they are, why would you say that right now when you want people to buy the OLED version? Like, that's basically telling people, don't buy this because we have something else coming down the line. Why in the world would they tell you, oh yeah, we're working on something else? Like,
hey,
think about that for a second.
It worked for Nintendo when they made the 3 pillars with the DS, the Game Boy Micro, and the GameCube.
Yeah, exactly. We know exactly how that worked out. The interesting thing that I have said this so many times, and it was weird when they announced Metroid Dread, because I'm thinking if they're going to announce anything Metroid related, it is going to be these subsequent, the ones that come before for Metroid Prime, and like, then you hear from Jeff Grubb on the Giant Bomb show that they could, and it looks like Metroid Prime Trilogy is pretty much done. Nintendo's just holding it.
I don't believe that. I'm sure it's being worked on, but I mean, I don't think it's like, oh, they have a warehouse full of Metroid Prime.
They could really just be doing it. I mean, like, why would it really take them forever to work on it's a port? I mean,
well, it depends on how much they have to adapt Metroid Prime 3, because that was a motion controlled one.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we see that with Skyward Sword,
right?
Right now, So, I definitely think that it could be in the works. I mean, it's weird because I still think there could be more Zelda coming in the works. They just, again, like, they're waiting to release it closer to Breath of the Wild 2.
My thing would be, why wait?
Because they want to get you hyped. Nintendo does love the hype machine.
Yeah, but that can just spring it on you. They're going to go, oh, hey, Metroid Dread is in stores. And, oh, if you see another Metroid game, it's the trilogy. We just announced it today, and it'll be in stores tomorrow, or,
Yeah, I mean, what if that's what it is?
No.
Right? Like, what if they're not going to give you very much? They're not going to say it's out now. Definitely not. I'm just saying, like, what if it is just like a month or something like that they go, oh, hey, it's coming out in a month or two, and there it is.
Well, no, because they like to build up hype a lot more than that.
Yeah, but I mean, what Yeah, I'm just trying to make the point that it lets them be able to just say, "Oh, we have it done and it's coming." Like I don't know that. I mean, I don't. I just don't think it would be that much of a stretch to say, like, "Oh, hey, we've already pretty much done with it."
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
like
I just
they
don't
have
see them
all
like.
this time to. They've had all this time to make it. Um, like it's a game. I feel like it's almost feels weird if you don't release it with having the fourth one, with there being some people that may not have played the others. And you're continuing the numbering also. It's not like you're rebooting it or whatever. You're continuing the numbering, and then to tell people, "Oh, you got to go play it on a Wii or a Wii or a GameCube."
Well, that's what they're doing with Metroid, all the other ones. I mean, I saw a video about like how I think it's the Wii U is like the best way to play old Metroid games.
Well, yeah, but technically, like, you do have the Nintendo Classics and the Super Nintendo Classics if you want to play some of them. So it's not like, I mean, totally out of the realm they could do this. Like, it just definitely feels weird. Like, Zelda is one thing that they didn't, do any more than just Skyward Sword, but at least you got one game that goes with, that seems to be going with Breath of the Wild 2, whereas Dread, it's a different game. It's a 2D Metroid, right? So, like, yeah. I don't know, but that's interesting that it could completely just be done and they're sitting on it. Maybe it's not necessarily that cut and dry, but at least
I imagine the first two are done, or they could be very easily like just released as like downloadable games. The third, I think the third would be the issue.
Yeah,
but I also, even if it is done, it's not like I said, they're not like, there's no warehouse full of like Metroid Prime Trilogy.
Oh no, definitely not.
You
it's not out there and ready for them to just drop it on whatever. So there's that, at least, and also Reggie Fils-Aimé is writing a book.
Yeah,
about his life.
And he's gonna do. I read it, or I looked it up. He's gonna do the audiobook, so that'll be pretty interesting.
Yes, that's one of those. I'm still one of those that likes to have a physical book, but if he does do the audiobook, I think I might definitely get that, just to hear him be able to announce himself. And he chose the. He's known for so many catchphrases. Interesting that he didn't choose the "My Body Is Ready" for the book or anything like that, but we'll see.
He needs to do like a book signing tour, and then he just keeps pulling the book out of his like coat.
I like Reggie is one of the best leaders we've had in gaming in a while, and just it just also he was just so good at being a meme and making fun of himself and everything. So getting to know more about his life is certainly going to be an interesting, fun thing for sure. So I've talked, I've kind of delayed the big announcement for later, because why not? Why not do a tease here? But of course, the big talk of the entire freaking week has been Valve out of nowhere announcing a Steam Deck. And not to be confused with Stream Deck. It's not the Elgato thing. It's a portable PC that you can also play your Steam games on. And if you saw it, or if you didn't, if you hadn't seen a Switch, really, you could mistake it for one of those with trackpads on it. like as somebody that is a big proponent of Steam, as somebody that has a Switch, Mark, I mean, what do you think about the Steam Deck?
Like with XDefiant, it looks awful.
Really? Okay.
Like the ergonomics, me and Jens have talked about it. Like the buttons look like they're melting off the one side. The D-pad placement looks horrible. I don't know why it has to have two trackpads on it.
I guess to give you the, like, if you want to use the joystick, the like move around with the control stick, but then you can also use trackpad on the other hand.
I mean, no game does that though. No game has like joypad controls, and then also like, use the mouse for final control, especially on like a 1-inch trackpad. You know, the biggest issue though really is like, no, like Steam does not do hardware at all, or like at least well.
Well, they did do hardware.
I mean that's where the well part comes in, because the Steam Link kind of a failure. The Steam controller was a bigger failure, and the Steam machines were the biggest failure. I mean, I guess it's a kind of a novel idea, and this is more your speed. I don't feel the need to like go somewhere and like be that connected to a damn game console or a computer.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing with this for me is it's the difference between the Switch and this is that this isn't the only thing that you need to play Steam games. Number one. Number two, laptops are also portable.
Yeah,
it's but like
I mean, a laptop being able to run, GTA 5, it's portable, sure, but it's going to cost you at least $800.
Well, yeah, but is this gonna, like, that's the thing? There's eventually going to be is this going to be upgradable? Because
no,
like it's eventually going to get to the point where this is not, gonna be like.
I mean, it's like it's like the Switch to an extent, because it's a targeted hardware platform, so they can run. They can this is a few years down the road, obviously, but like GTA 6, it'll have like massive system requirements probably, but you could see it having like, it can run on the Steam Deck because we've bumped it down low enough for it to run, because it's running at a lower resolution. It won't have like HDR, all that graphical crap on, so it can run. It won't run like particularly well or like look the prettiest, but because we know every Steam Deck has the same hardware, you can target for that. Or at least mostly the same hardware.
I mean, like I like the fact that it's basically a Switch that lets you play Steam games. I like that. My problem also is that the $400 SKU is misleading, because number one, it's not like you're gonna have to upgrade to an SD card, and then also your games are not gonna run it's not gonna load as fast. It's like the Switch where the games are gonna shrink in size and they're gonna try to make it fit onto your save, except for some games that obviously they're just not going to.
Well, I mean, it'll cost more, but it's a cost on the line. Like, from what I've read, the $400 model will still have like the M.2 slot. So
but it's not an NVMe. It's like a different kind of SSD as well.
Yeah, you can just buy. I mean, that's what I meant. Like, it's a cost on the road. You can just buy that drive and slap it in there.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, what's the point then? Just buy the middle SKU.
Because, maybe you don't have the money at the time. I mean, that's the point. Yeah,
but I just think, like, we're doing this to say that we're sort of competing with the Switch, and I feel like you might as well have just done the other two SKUs and said, okay, but this is getting 256 gigs of storage, and you're getting the NVMe SSD. Like, I feel like for me, if I was going to buy this at all, I'm going for that second SKU. Not now that they have announced that they've got delayed to quarter 2 and 3 of next year. But honestly, I think this is good. Like, I like the fact that this exists. I think it's good for Nintendo. I think it's good to have competition. I don't know that Nintendo is going to look at this as competition. I don't know if they're going to be scared by this at all, because this is not going to appeal to the masses.
This one, I mean, this probably won't even be sold in stores, or at least like most stores. I mean, it might be sold in like a Best Buy, but Walmart ain't going to have this thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is it's not gonna. I don't know. They sold it. I mean, obviously, part of it is to avoid scalpers, but they still had a problem with scalpers anyway. But like, part of it is it's theirs, right? It's Valve, that they sell it on their marketplace to start, and then later, if it gains enough traction, they could put it in a GameStop or any kind of other. Yeah,
the Amico has more sales partners in this thing.
Yeah, I mean, but this is Valve. Like, they know where their target audience is with this.
The other biggest issue is even if this thing was out tomorrow, it's not going to have 100% compatibility with Steam.
No, it's not, because some things.
I think it was like 4 out of the top 10 Steam games wouldn't run in this thing. It was like Destiny 2.
The big multiplayer games like that. They have anti-cheat stuff, so they won't work.
Wait a minute, that like no emulation layer is perfect. They're using something like Polaris, I think, or something like that.
It's
or Proteus or Proton, yeah. And it's
Proton.
like no Windows. I mean, I'll be curious if you can just throw Windows on this thing, honestly.
Well, they did say that you'd be able to put Windows OS completely in it. You can do whatever you want. It's a portable PC. Basically, they've already announced it as this is basically a portable PC that has controllers on it.
It would be
whichever you want on it.
The best thing about this thing was if it was like that, but it was hard locked, so you couldn't run Epic Launcher on it.
Yeah, that's another thing is people are talking about, well, we could technically run Xbox Game Pass on here.
Yeah,
whatever. Like, people do need to understand that there is a possibility you could also lock your thing, because you're also having to take out the Steam OS or the Linux stuff to put in the Windows, and you could end up locking your system. And then what do you do after that? So you have to be careful about what you're doing. And that's something else that's going to be difficult for, somebody like me that is not used to messing with their systems at all. Like for me to do the hard drive thing for the PS3 and PS4, that's the most I've ever touched my system. To do something like that.
You should get an old Xbox and screw around with that thing.
Yeah, so like I think there's going to be a lot of barriers to entry for people to really get a lot out of this. I think if you have a huge Steam library and you're a hardcore gamer, you already know whether you want this or not. And you probably already pre-ordered it. So
I do have a huge Steam library, and I'm a decent gamer, and I want like no part of this.
Well, I mean, like it does have a dock, like you can put it into your TV if you wanted to, which I assume would work better than like the Steam Big Picture mode and all that.
Yeah, but then you have to like bust out either a gamepad or a keyboard and mouse, and it's like, I already have a pretty good laptop.
But let's say Xbox makes it to where you could play your say one of their controllers. I mean, that makes it easier than I don't know if they'll make it to where you could also use the DualShock 4 or something as well. But I mean, you could technically use something you already have, so it wouldn't be that big a deal than say, having to go buy some weird gamepad or whatever. Like, and the fact that it will work even without the dock, they said, whether you stream to it or you can just hook up a USB cord to the TV. So
this thing seems dumb just on its face, because the whole drive now is like cloud gaming, like xCloud or NVIDIA, whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah.
Why doesn't Steam just do that?
Because that's a lot. I mean, here's the thing though, like you can play your games offline. Like you don't have to be connected to the internet. If your game works, whether you install Windows or whether it's running Photon to be able to simulate the Windows to run it for you. There may be games that don't work aside from the 4 that they announced at the top one. Maybe other
like
games.
Steam has 20,000 games, or at least like 10,000 games on it. I'm gonna assume half aren't gonna work on this thing.
Yeah, without you having to do modifications.
Yeah,
which that's the thing too. I think as soon as I wonder how lax they're going to be with these return policies, because I bet people might buy this thing and not know that you're going to have to wind up doing some modifications and then wind up like, let's say somebody has games that don't work because the compatibility with Linux or whatever is not working, and then they want to take it back, and then the store's like, well, I'm sorry you opened it. It's not going to work like that. So, or Valve, are they going to have some kind of return policy for this? Because you're going to get some angry people that go, well, how long am I going to have to wait for these games to work? So, and that's an expensive system that you're buying for this kind of thing. But I think really this is the hardcore gamer's dream. You can now like emulate whatever you want on this thing. I think I've seen people saying, now here's the thing. And I made a tweet, and it's probably like the most ever gotten retweets and likes on a tweet ever. And it wasn't to do that; it was to prove a point. People out here calling it a Switch killer and all that stuff. You're delusional if you really think that that's.
I'm sure Nintendo or whoever runs Nintendo saw this thing, looked at like the ergonomics of it, and just laughed their ass off and walked away. Or
I mean, if you watch the IGN first, which they have like exclusive access to showing off the whole thing for like the whole month, for this entire month now. The guy that's talking about it said that it feels good, supposedly. But that's one person. Who knows what happens when other people touch it?
The place that got early access to it says it's a good device. Wow, let me call Ripley. He ain't gonna believe this one.
I'm just saying, like he's saying it feels good. Who knows if it really does or not? Everybody has different hand sizes. It is going to be a lot heavier than the Switch, and that's a big thing too. Like, do you really want to be able to have to be having this heavy thing that you're carrying around in all the different places that you would normally play the Switch in? Like in bed, is this something that you really want to be holding?
Well, it's like, think about like some of the more demanding games. Like, imagine this thing's gonna have to have a fan in it.
Yeah, oh yeah, they already.
So imagine that thing kicking on. I mean, even the Switch has a fan in it. I mean, it's pretty quiet and like low powered, but this thing is on a magnitude higher than that. So have fun with this thing. Warming your lap at night.
It's interesting to me as far as. Like, I think that this is a great device. Like, I think it's cool that this exists, and I want it to do well just because I want people to have the option and be able to like have this and you, hey, if you enjoy it, if it's what works for you, then cool. If it really does everything you want it to do, then great. I mean, you paid your money and it should work and it should be what you want it to be. I just hope that people don't get fooled thinking, oh man, I can now play like everything on this and it's, oh man, I don't need my Switch anymore because now I can just emulate Switch games, and it's like, okay, cool. Like,
I mean, I would say no, and then also like even the Switch emulation isn't great.
I mean, it has improved in like 2 or 3 years, but yeah, definitely. This is not a Switch killer because it's not for everyone. It's not. You don't need this to play PC games. I can use my laptop just fine and take my laptop. I take my laptop with me to work every day. I can play my PC games on there if I want to, and so does everybody else. Like, again, if you want to spend your $529 or your $629 and your $500 or your whatever for this, I think it's $529 and $649, whatever, right? It's like. So whatever you want to spend on it, cool. I mean, I'm glad this exists. It's good to have options. I just said we need to slow down on the whole, oh my God, this is going to be the next portable revolution. Everybody's got to make a game. Everybody's going to make a thing like this.
I mean,
Nintendo's not going to make.
My problem is also like you just don't need to have access to all your content everywhere you go. Like it's fine if you go to work or you take a trip. You don't have to have 8,000 different games at your fingertips.
Well, yeah, it's definitely overwhelming, but I mean, like, people want that. You can have it now, right?
People need to get a grip. I mean, that's the thing.
Well, no, but I mean, that's the whole point of the cloud, right? Like you were just talking about the cloud gaming. Like that's the whole point of having the cloud. If the cloud's going to be big, you have access to everything. You have access to the whole, not everything in Games Works Game Pass, but you have all that stuff that's part of that. So, like, why wouldn't Steam want to say, okay, you have that, but it's in this device? I don't know. I think it's a good thing. Well, is it going to be the most successful thing ever? I could definitely see it going the way of the Vita and not even lasting very long either, because it's Valve and
they don't
have a good track record with this.
The other problem is, like you said earlier, is like at least with like the Vita, you're always targeted at a platform or targeted at a like locked hardware like platform. This thing you are too, but PC games are always expanding.
Yep. The storage is always going to be a problem with this.
Not storage. I mean, it's like technology-wise. Like they always,
Oh yeah. But could they make it upgradable?
No. At least not this one. I mean, it's not going to be like, solder this RAM slot onto it, and you'll have more RAM. I mean,
yeah. Could Valve come up with some kind of program for this eventually if it does well? I don't know.
Look at like tablets, how disposable they are.
Mm-hmm, yeah, tablets become that way too.
And even like cell phones to an extent.
I can't imagine, again, unless they are going to do some kind of upgrade program, I cannot imagine they're going to expect people to just pay $600 again for this in like 3 or 4 years or whatever.
No, I expect them to pay $600 for this in 2 years.
Yeah, but
it'll be like trade in your old one and get a $200 credit on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Something like that. They could have some kind of trade program and be like, okay, well, you want the next iteration of it? Here you go, and you can keep playing your games or whatever. But for me, it's a lot of wait and see. Wait till this actually comes out. How it launches. Is it all it says it's going to be? Because here's the difference between Vita and Switch, right? Like, any game you put in there, it's going to work. Yeah. And this, maybe not so much.
It's going to be like, it'll have like a little badge on the Steam page store saying Vita Dock or Vita, whatever the whole thing, or not Vita, Valve Deck approved or playable, or it'll have like gradations, like partially supported or, partially playable, but not supported 100% or stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff that you got to go and read and find out yourself, right? So, it's not necessarily very user-friendly at that point as well. So, that's the thing, again. If the hardcore gamers get into this and they really promote it and everything else, and they can keep getting more hardcore gamers to buy it, I think that bodes well for Valve. I just don't see this creeping into the non being on Twitter or Reddit market and going somewhere in that space. And that's where I say, be careful what you're saying of how well this is going to do. But I think that's all Valve really needs, honestly, is the people that are watching game content all the time, people that are on Steam. If let's say a fourth of the people that have Steam and use it regularly buy the Steam Deck, they already won. I think that's a plus for Valve at that point. Trying to forecast what it does in a year or so, we'll see. Will Valve support it? Will people keep using it? But it does make it a nice place to play indies, I think, as well, just like the Vita was, just like the Switch is. So there's that as well. I think if you're, I think for reviewers, I think this is a cool thing. You get a PC code now. I think there's more chance of you wanting it. Let's say for me, if I had one, I would say, yeah, give me a PC code. I can just play this wherever I want.
You already have. you already have a laptop, like a
right, but I'm
gaming
not going to
laptop.
take my laptop with me to the bathroom. I'm not going to take my laptop
You
with me
don't.
to the bed.
I mean,
I'm not going to take my laptop to. I'm
you
just
don't.
saying.
You don't need to be playing a game on when you're taking a dump. Like,
Hey, you know
can
what?
just.
Some people read while you're doing that. If I have my Switch around, I do that because you know what? I could progress for 30 minutes.
I mean,
in that time, you know. So
that's my point. Is you don't need to have gaming all like with you all the time.
I agree. I mean, I take a book to work and I will read a book when we go into like a slow time or whatever. I'm just saying, you know, everybody has their things that they like to do in their resting time before they go to bed and other situations. When you're at a doctor's office, when you're at a waiting for your kid or yourself to get taken to see the doctor. I mean, like whatever other.
That's called overstimulation.
I get you, but again, we're talking about look at the core audience that we're talking about here. Overstimulation. What is that? Well, what is that if we're talking about that kind of thing? So, yeah, I mean,
I'm reminded of when the first Division came out, and this didn't happen actually, but Ubisoft was talking to me like, oh, we're gonna have a mobile game, so like if your friends are playing the Division console game, you can be on the mobile game and like helping them out, and like you'll be in the bus helping out your friends like playing the game. And it's like, you don't need that. Or, you know, if you're that type of person that needs constant stimulation, get help.
Fair enough. Fair enough on that. But yeah, this is going to be a thing, I think, all the way until when we're talking about it coming out in December. And it is what it is at that point. But I think it's cool that this exists. And power to Valve for making it. Nick, people talk about it. And that's good, too. We have more things to talk about as well. So just want to point out that Ghostwire Tokyo was also delayed until early 2022. Another game that has been delayed. We talked about this. We talked about this over and over and over. There's going to be more delays. People are going to have to just deal with it. It is what it is.
But it's funny because it looks like the contract is written so like it has to be a year for it to be on PS5 first. So it'll be next year or 2 years from now.
2023.
Yeah.
For Microsoft. I mean, hey, that's what happens with this exclusivity thing. PlayStation had it, and you're gonna have to wait if you're an Xbox only gamer, or you're waiting for it to get in Game Pass, so you don't want to buy it. I mean, it is what it is. But you knew about it, and to be fair, we have heard like nothing from Ghostwire Tokyo, so this did not surprise me at all when we're getting this announcement, because it's like again, this is almost like the Skull and Bones thing. I'm gonna sit here and look this up as I try to find something for it. It's like, when was the last time? I mean, it didn't help also that the person that got so much publicity for showing up on E3, I forgot her name. She
Asian
just like
woman. Yes.
Yeah, she left making the game like quickly after that.
Like a while ago, yeah.
Like, and I didn't take I swear it wasn't very long after is E3 2019. So we're talking about 2 years, and we heard nothing about it at all this year. They just said it was coming out. And
I still have like very little idea what that game is.
Yeah, I mean, like they kind of, it's a first person game.
I thought it's third, so you got okay.
Yeah, no, it's. Yeah, I think they do switch. I think you can switch the perspective. I think was what one of the like highlights of it was you can switch the perspective of the game. But like they go for the crazy, like, oh my God, let me look at like crazy villain characters and we don't know what's going to come out of here, and it is set in Japan as well, so there's that. Like it looks cool, it looks interesting. It's just, man, it did not surprise me at all when they're talking all day about Deathloop, but like nothing about Ghostwire Tokyo. It's like, yeah, this thing's not coming out. So yeah, people shouldn't be surprised. I mean, I wanted I'm interested in it, but yeah, well, we'll have to wait. Have to wait more, as we are with a lot of these games, waiting for that game to come out. But cool that at least nice that we know about it. It's again disappointing. I know people wanted to play this game, but you shouldn't really be too surprised about this one, really. So, just quickly here with the MPD for June. Switch was the highest selling console, and as number of units sold, Microsoft was in dollars. So that's a nice like win for the series consoles for once of winning in something. Of course, it helps a lot that the PS5 is still hurting due to the chip shortage, and people are getting it, but you don't see it as much as seeing Series X and Series S's in stores.
I've still yet to see any of those things in stores.
I have. I see people say that I went to a store and picked it up.
I've seen Series S's for sale in like a few game stores, but that's more understandable. But I've never seen a PS5 or a Series X.
I have not. I'm the same way. I've seen the Series S in the store. I haven't seen the Series X, but like I do believe people have gone to a store. I've seen people post a picture. Hey, I went to the store and there happened to be one, and I picked it up. And,
I could
really see that with PS5s.
I could see it like, I picked it up at a store for my online order.
Yeah, that too, as well. But and the fact that it also like I think it did like 4 or 5 million more than last year when we were in a pandemic. Definitely still, I mean, we're still in it now, especially with cases rising again due to this Delta variant. But it's like we were in full pandemic at this point in those summer months, and the fact that it did even more than last year, I think that's crazy. I mean, it helps that you have the new hardware as well to kind of circumvent that. But you did have Ratchet and Clank be number one, kind of not unexpected at that point. Crazy that Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War is still there at number 2. And Mario Golf Super Rush doing well, did number 3. MLB The Show, which supposedly Xbox is still doing really well for that, along with Sony. Scarlet Nexus is number 5. Pretty great for a new IP for Bandai Namco to be up there for them. And then you kind of have games that have been out for a while. After that, again, another reason why I keep saying don't be sitting there talking crap about the Switch, because mostly due to the Switch version, even though there's PS5 and Series X versions out there, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 went from 51 to 17 based largely on the Switch console version. So yeah, and then Sea of Thieves also due to the Pirates crossover is back in as well at 20. So hey, people say that people don't buy games on Xbox. Definitely people buying games there for it to be on that list as well. So cool for the MPD of June, just to get through that there. Yeah, I mean, you go from sales of new games to Phil Spencer had a like really interesting conversation with the guys over at Kind of Funny on their Kind of Funny Games Cast, and he talks about preserving old games, which I'm glad to hear somebody that is a figurehead for one of the companies talk about this. It's very good for the industry to have some kind of preservation system. A lot of this gets lost. How many games do we hear about? I mean, I just reviewed the Ninja Gaiden, deal. And number 1 and 2 couldn't have the best versions of them. Why? Because they lost code to Ninja Gaiden for Xbox and Ninja Gaiden 2. So you had to have those Sigma versions, which are inferior and have lots of things cut from them and things added that don't need to be in them and all that stuff. So, like, you know, it's good to hear Phil Spencer talking about preservation. You know, he talks about losing history, losing the art form. He says, when I think about old ROMs and MAME and these things of where these old games are going to go as the hardware that's capable of running those games, I really wish as an industry we come together and help preserve the history of what gaming is about so we don't lose the ability to go back. And
the next question I would have asked him was, hey, remember Game Room?
Yeah, I mean, he talked about the Paley Center and what it did for the TV industry, right? Of like, hey, if you don't want those, I'll take them because somebody at some point is going to want to be able to.
I mean, it's a nice idea, but like, even it's not like the Xbox or Series X is like completely backward compatible.
No, it's not. It's not. But like, at least there's somebody trying to do it, and there's games that are going to be lost to time. You don't know how to get the rights for that. Like, it's whatever. But it's like, it would be nice to.
Well, for that, I mean, the difference for that is like, you could say like, oh, we can't get. I'll use like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You can't get that game sold on digital storefronts because of like rights issues and stuff like that. It's like, okay, fine. What if I have a disc-based copy of it though?
Yeah, but they still have to. Even if you don't get that, they still have to get the rights and be able to pay the people they're supposed to pay. And
no, they don't.
Yes, to be able to run it on another console it wasn't intended for. Yes, they do. I mean, if that was the case, they could have gotten every single game to work.
No, because there are a lot of games that have like very screwy like programming issues that they just
right.
I mean, that was like the old line with the Xbox 360 is they'd like build emulation profiles for these games. But it's like,
that's what I'm saying. They're having to tinker with it. They're having to do something, so they're having to put it on the system. Well, they have to pay these people something. Especially with Microsoft, the way that they do it, where they're up-resing it, right? Well, they're not just giving it to you the way it was.
I mean, they don't need to do that, but also that's like they weren't paying people before. Like like I said, with the Xbox 360, it's not like we got Chronicles of Riddick running this thing.
They still have to get the license or they have to talk to someone to be able to. Whatever it is that they need to be able to make that thing run,
that's my point. Is they didn't do that before,
right? But this is a different way of doing it than they were doing it for the 360 era. Like, this is what Jason Rano, when he has talked about it, it's like it's gotten to the point where we don't know who to talk to for this game in order to be able to put it on series the Xbox One or Series backwards compatible. So it got to the point where we couldn't add anymore because they got to the point where like the exhaustion level to try to get a hold of whoever it was.
Certain games, that's a load. Like you damn sure know that like, okay, like a Togi for original Xbox One, that's a Sega made game. They can talk to them. It's not like they have no. It's not like Sega doesn't exist anymore, or
No, I agree, but I mean, is there people asking for it? Is the thing. Like,
what doesn't matter?
No, but that's the point. They said you got to tell us that you really want this because at this point, like,
no, it's like if they want, it's like if they want to have like some all inclusive backward compatibility, it doesn't matter if people want it or not. They ask. I mean, yes, certain games.
But they weren't okay. Here's the thing: like they weren't trying to be all inclusive. At some point, it got to the point where it's like, okay, we looked at it, it became exhaustive for us, and there's not like there are games that people are wanting on there, right? But it's like it's got to get big enough support to the point where people for them to go do it. So I agree with you. If this was all about having, we got to have everything on the Series X for for preservation reasons, sure, but I don't think he's talking about we need to have these all work on current gen consoles. He just means like being able to have access to them.
I also like how he implicitly says he's a software pirate, or he's
Yeah, I mean, but he's a gamer. Like that's what I appreciate about him. He plays games. He's not some guy in a suit.
That'll be my excuse for to start bootlegging Xbox One games. Like, well, Phil said I could, so
well, fair enough then. So we still have like a few things to get to, and I don't necessarily like want to have this be a 3-hour show.
Too late.
One of the things that was came out of this week as well, which is kind of disheartening, is Tencent buying the Sumo Group for $1.27 billion, which is crazy because, like, man, are they really worth that much money?
I mean, it's a few different studios.
Right, it is, but it's like, damn, really? So, I mean, of course, they're the ones that make Sackboy. They made Crackdown 3. I think that another big game sort of big game is the Sonic.
Well, that was Sumo Digital, yeah, but I mean, they have other studios as well.
Yes, it's not just the Sumo that we know from making Sackboy. There's 14 studios spread across 5 countries, so maybe it is worth that. And Tencent also already owned 8.75% of their second biggest shareholder as well. So I'm sure this made part of that deal much easier to do.
My favorite part of this is, so Tencent is a Chinese company, and one of the Sumo Group companies is the Chinese Room.
Yeah. I wonder if this affects Sony working with them at all.
I doubt it.
If like they maybe,
because like why would you? I mean, they may charge Sony more, or may not. But I mean, it'll just be like, well, now you're just giving the money to Tencent, not this, Sumo.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of
Chinese. Come out and say it. No, I'm kidding.
I'm not a big fan of this. Like, I'm not a big fan of.
I mean, the thing I saw was like
coming and just owning more of this, more things in video games. Like
a Microsoft. Look what they bought last year.
I know, but now it almost makes you wonder: did Microsoft do this to avoid Tencent coming in and buying Bethesda because it wouldn't be too far-fetched to think that they would try to buy a big, huge studio just so they can be like, okay, well, we definitely got games now. Like, are they trying to?
They're not stopping making games. It's not like they bought League of Legends. I mean, they're going to keep making shit. It's not like, oh, now we own Riot, so no more games ever.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, I don't know. It's just, I mean, it's good if, like, Sumo was out there needing financial solvency or whatever, and like, this helps them. But it's just like, I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of, like, let's all buy this. I've been one that said, like, Bethesda, okay, but I don't want to see this keep happening. Like, oh, people can go and, oh, Sony needs to buy Square. Like, no, they don't. Like, we don't need to keep seeing this be a thing.
No, it'd just be funny if Sony bought Square. That's the difference.
Why would it be funny? It would not be funny. It would be bad. I mean, it'd be bad because you want everything to be on everything, but that's not a practical thing that's ever going to happen. So no, it's not. I'm not saying everything.
And like between the two, if Sony somehow bought Square tomorrow, that'd be a way bigger news story than.
Oh yeah, definitely. Unless Microsoft did it, that would be a total shock because of the way Square Enix has been working with, the way they've been working with Square. But I'm just like, my whole thing with this is, I don't know. Just, I wonder if Tencent's eventually going to enter the market in some way aside from buying studios, because then they have a good profile of studios at this point. Like, could they, make their own like console thing? Could they partner with somebody to to do something. I mean, it'd be interesting if they
they already have their own basic online storefront with Epic.
Yeah,
so
it's true. Yeah,
they're gonna keep doing what they're doing because that's how.
I mean, they're like it's like them and the Embracer Group. I mean, fighting for let's buy stuff. Look again, like I think it's cool for Sumo if that means all these people get to stay employed and get to have security. But it's like, man, what are they going to do with all this? And I hope we don't get like negative sides to this at some point eventually. But
yeah, probably nothing. Like I said, though.
Yeah, we'll see if there any comes much out of that on that end. Company of Heroes 3 got announced. So Sega and Relic are doing the combination there. It looked good to me in the video that I saw of it. It's a pre-alpha, so it is what it is. But if you like RTSs and you like the Company of Heroes games, looks like they really did try to make it a good one so far.
Yeah, I wasn't like a huge fan of Company of Heroes 2, but I realized I'm in the minority and it was like reviewed well. So
yeah, and that is. That's a plus for sure. One of these things that was kind of like out of nowhere, Nickelodeon's Smash Brothers game getting announced. They did their own kart racer, and it was fine. It was not anything.
And they did that baseball game.
Yeah, there's that too. I mean, I'm surprised. Like, where's the this has a name. I don't remember what the heck this
Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, I think, or
why would you take the like anything?
Yeah, All-Star Brawl.
Like, why would you even be close to the name of the PlayStation All-Stars thing? But okay, so here's so far the list of characters that are being added to this. So far, Danny Phantom is in here. Helga Pataki from
Hey Arnold,
Invader Zim. That's totally for the Ninja Turtles, which that's cool. Lincoln Loud, okay, Lucy Loud. The Thornberrys, Nigel Thornberry. Obalina from Ario Monsters, which that's cool. Patrick Star, of course. So SpongeBob would have had to been here. The Powdered Toast Man. Reptar, that's cool because you got your Godzilla character. Sandy, SpongeBob. People are kind of assuming that Avatar is going to be here because he was in the kart racer.
Or there's like some picture of Korra, maybe, or
yeah. I mean, at least they're it's varied and they do have their own lineup of characters. So, like, it's not the worst thing in the world that they could make for this, but I don't know. Like, I got this being really bad too.
Here is the topic I came up with is like, what are some Nick characters that you would like to see in this thing?
I think the Rugrats are also supposed to be in this as well, if I'm not mistaken. Like,
it'll probably be Angelica.
Yeah, like, I mean, TMNT would have been one, so they already have that. I mean, like, Doug was one of my favorites for Nickelodeon. So,
well, it'd probably be like Quailman, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Quailman. That definitely would be Quailman. If you're gonna why not have a superhero character at that point? If you're not gonna.
I mean, for me, I came up with a few. Alex Mack.
Okay.
She'd be a pretty interesting fighter because she can, turn into a puddle and then have telekinesis. Olmec from Hidden Temple.
That'd be really weird. Like,
he'd be the boss character. He'll be like, yeah. What else? Gary from Are You Afraid of the Dark? He was guy with glasses.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see like Squidward if he gets added into this.
Because all the ones they have are like cartoon characters, and it's like, I mean, yes, Nickelodeon does have a lot of cartoons, but I want like real character. I want like real people in this. I want like.
I don't think they'll do that though. I think the whole point is that.
Yeah, but that's no fun. I want to have like Pete and Pete.
But it would be like weird. That's the whole point. Like Super Smash Brothers is like cartoony. So
yeah, that's cool though. Like, yeah, have it be weird. Like, have it be different. I mean, this thing looks like the trailer does look like just like Smash Brothers with Nickelodeon, characters. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, have it be unique and different. Have Pete and Pete or Keenan and Kel or someone like that or something.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I was playing this earlier. Sorry. So, and like not to mention they putting Brawl in here too. So it's like, almost like the look of the sort of almost like a claymation sort of weird look to when they introduced them. But yeah. I mean, look, it looks like it could be fun or whatever. I mean, I don't know that it's gonna have like tremendous staying power, but again, like at least they have their own. The main character of Obrio Monsters, like I want him in there too. I can't remember.
Ickis.
Ickis, yeah.
And it's weird that Oblina's in it because the voice actress has passed away.
Yeah. And like that's the thing too. I think that could hurt this game more is if you're not going to have any of the original music or like any of the original like voice actors or anything like that to do some kind of like voice work. I think that could be some of those little things that could like remove like really wanting to see more.
Or have like Rocco's Modern Life, like Rocco.
Yes, like you gotta have Rocco or I'm trying to think of like I feel like if you don't have Ren and Stimpy, I mean,
yeah, it's like I mean, Potter Toastman's cool, but like, yeah, he was like in like 2 cartoons of the old the old show.
Yeah, it's weird like, that like you don't have
like they have like
weird, a lot of the leads in here.
Yeah,
like
the main characters.
The Ninja Turtles, but it's like a lot of the secondary characters,
like the dad from Wild Thornberrys. It's like
not the other characters from the Wild Thornberrys. Like all right. Like the Fairly Odd Parents are, missing here as well. So like, there's a lot. They do have a lot of cartoon properties they can add on to. I mean, I think that's what it is they're kind of doing like the WWE 2K thing. It feels like we're gonna hold off on some of these big ones for DLC because we want you to buy the DLC. So there's that as well. I think there's some of that. Like, why wouldn't you just pack it full of the big ones, right? And then have the secondary characters once you know it's done well. They're doing it the opposite. So definitely they're trying to get you there on that end for that. So, I can't think at the minute if we've like...
Where is Clarissa from Clarissa Explains It All?
That's one of those ones that probably will not be in there. Like, she does like wrestling and that kind of thing. So maybe I guess she could have like put herself in that kind of game. But still, it's really weird, and it definitely feels like Nickelodeon is trying to make sure that they get you. But it is going to come to all the systems at some point this fall. So there's that, at least the consoles. I think they didn't say PC yet. So
no, I doubt it. I mean,
yeah. Last thing we'll talk about, because this kind of came out like almost, I think, the next day after we did the show, or the day that we did the show last week. Bloomberg reported that Netflix appointed Mike Verdu as their vice president of game development, and is also going to report to Greg Peters, the chief operating officer. He's also the vice president for AR VR content at Facebook for the Oculus headsets recently. So within the next 12 months, Netflix is attempting to add video games and they're not trying to like charge more for it. That it's just going to be something that they have on there. So like I think we talked about this before when there was like hints of this. Now there seems to be like they're actually going for it at this point. So there was a hint, there was a leak of a Ghost of Tsushima thing with PlayStation. If they were going to have some kind of partnership, like, are we talking about really full games here? Are we talking about more of like more Bandersnatch stuff?
Second one, because there's no like, how do you do games on Netflix?
Yeah, I mean, do they do the Microsoft thing of just like, oh, here your controllers you already have work?
Yeah, like, your controls are control 4 buttons.
I mean, like, is that that's the only thing I can imagine, because what is Netflix going to make their own controllers for this? Like, maybe eventually, but it's like, are you really going to release a controller that people have to have? I mean, that doesn't make sense. Like, you're already going to have to explain how this is going to work to people. I don't think that this is a good idea to like tell them, oh, now you have to have your own proprietary thing. I feel like they're either going to make controllers work out of the ones that already exist, which maybe Sony's going to lead the way with that with the direct partnership, and they already have that with the PlayStation Studios movies and PlayStation, or not PlayStation, Sony movies in general. So maybe that's what it is. I mean, do you think that was just like a demo thing, or do you think there is something with Sony there?
No. This is all a bad idea. It's Netflix trying to like ride the wave of gaming, but it's like you have no infrastructure whatsoever. You know, Bandersnatch is like a glorified choose your own adventure. It's not a game.
No, I mean you're definitely right about that. Like it is a game. It can be called a game. Like a choose your own adventures, you could call it a game, right? Like they have the what's it called, the Minecraft thing. Like,
I mean, you do stuff in that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. I can't imagine that you're going to make an entire gaming division to make a bunch of Telltale type games.
I think you can when you realize like most TVs running this thing aren't good tech wise. You know, they can barely run Netflix most of the time. Like, how do you game on some old ass web TV thing or internet enabled TV? Like,
well, I agree. I get what you're saying. If we're trying to like say we're gonna make this work for like everybody, but if let's say this gets added into like the 4K thing, and you're saying, okay, well, most of the people that have the going all the way to 4K, you're gonna have some kind of good TV to be able to make use of this. At that point, so
I mean, I see this more as they make a show, and then they try to figure out how to make a game out of it for real consoles or real PC or something like that. Like making Orange is the New Black TV show or The Expanse or something like that. Like pick a partner, like license that stuff out. Not, hey, you can play Ghost of Tsushima on Netflix with your Blu-ray remote. It's like, no.
Yeah, that's not gonna fly very well with people. Yeah, man. This is one of those where they really have to kind of show us. I mean, the fact that you're just getting started supposedly, but you're gonna have something in a year. I mean, do you know games take long to make? I mean, are we gonna do the Amazon and Google thing where you think that it's gonna take like nothing to make these games or whatever? I mean,
well, hey, it's working out with Stadia, so.
Well, yeah, with Stadia, I mean,
that's the last news story. Stadia is going like, oh, we're going to give you more money based on how many people play your game. And it's like,
no. I mean, like, look, Microsoft does this sometimes, depending on how they structure this for Game Pass, like as far as downloads or like time, like. But I don't know. I just don't think that bodes well for
Well, like this is the direct quote: "Is Stadia Pro? That's like their subscription service.
Right.
Stadia Pro will give back 70% of the monthly revenue to partners based on engagement for active claimable Stadia Pro titles." And it's like, so great. 70% of zero is still zero. Like, yeah, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a fool's errand because it's like, don't do games on Netflix. I mean, the only thing I can think of is like, making games based on like Netflix shows. Like,
I mean, that's what it would be. I think is your
do like a
project.
Glow wrestling game, or do
Well,
whatever.
that
I
got
mean,
canceled, but
yeah,
I know what you mean.
I'm not
I,
even sure it's on Netflix anymore. So
I like. I just don't see the point in doing this unless you are gonna like be putting these games on the Netflix platform. Like,
but it's like at that point, it's just like it's really going to be super basic gaming.
yeah.
It'll be like reskins of like Flappy Bird or Angry Birds, or
I mean, I could see both. Like, I could see them trying to do things that to be able to put it on there, and then also this is a marketing arm, like you're saying, for their more successful franchises that can actually be made into games. And then, we can put these on these consoles or whatever. It's like there's got to be something more to this than just maybe there is a surprise in the works. I don't know. I mean, it would be a good way to also make use of like all that anime that you're putting on there as well. You make games based on those series. Like,
we all know anime studios are easy to work with.
I mean, they're not like, and then to find the gameplay studios that want to work with that as well. So yeah, but the only thing left here for us is talking about those games that have yet to come out, and of course, one of the ones I'm showing here for watching on video is, of course, probably the highlight of next. Well, there's several highlights of next week, but one of the ones people have been waiting for is the Neo World Ends With You. There's a demo out there on the Switch right now if you want to play it. If not, if you've been waiting, or if you bought it already and you got a digital code early from Square Enix themselves, you could be playing it right now. So there's that as well.
Oops.
Yeah, big oops for Square on that point. And also that Pokemon Unite mobile game comes out tomorrow as well. If you haven't checked that out yet, then Orcs Must Die 3 also coming out this week. Samurai Warriors 5 is coming out. So there's that. If you've been waiting for more Warriors game, there is that coming. Hell Let Loose Splitgate is coming. Microsoft Flight Simulator. You can get that on Game Pass, or buy that as well. The Greatest Attorney comes out next week. And Tribes of Midgard, that game that has been shown off on every freaking thing. Every like event, this Tribes of Midgard gets shown off on this thing. So yeah, I mean, if like you're waiting, if you're waiting, I mean, you don't have to wait too much longer. There's something good coming for somebody within this week or next week. And again, Chris Tales out on Game Pass right now, pretty much, and Death's Door also comes out today. So, and if you're a glutton for punishment or you like these games for some reason, Akiba's Trip Hellbound comes out as well. And I'm sure I want to hear people that have been playing that Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD remaster. How do you like it? There seems to be people that really love it. There seems to be people that are like caught up with the controls. But I think mostly positive from what I'm seeing for the most part. And can't forget to mention that first of the trio of Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters is coming.
The way Final Fantasy is meant to be played.
I want to see what these pixel remasters really are at this point. So I'm down with seeing whatever that is. So I don't. I can't say nothing because I know I'm gonna wind up somehow freaking buying these again or whatever. I'm terrible about wanting to support and then like watch it not come to freaking Switch or whatever. Anyway, so if you enjoy what you heard here, of course, we are available on pretty much everything podcast wise. If we're not on something, please let me know. Uh, anything that you can think of. Google Podcasts, iTunes, of course, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all those places. Tune in, Amazon Music. You can listen to us on Audible if you have Audible. On Alexa, you can yell video games to the max and say "play video games to the max, Alexa," and it'll start playing the latest episode. Of course, you can watch us here on YouTube, where I try to do gameplay so you don't have to see my face all the time, and then Mark's black screen there. And of course, check out the website as well. W2mnet.com has more than just reviews that Mark and I write or the podcast and stuff. It has other shows. We had a Black Widow review go up this week from Mark Rylich and company. They did Looney Tunes. They're going to be doing the Space Jam review. Oh man, I forgot to talk about Space Jam. I watched that. I thought it was actually decent. I know a lot of people were saying it was trash or whatever, but
Jens truly hated it.
I mean, the thing is, like, Jens is like way too critical about movies. I think, like,
his basic criticism was it has no jokes.
I mean, I thought it had some jokes in there. I mean, I laughed a few times. Like, I didn't expect anything like out of this world. It is freaking Looney Tunes. I mean, they were never laugh a minute TV or nothing. Like, they're just also from a different era. It's like, so LeBron's not the greatest actor in the world, but
you take that back.
It is what it is.
He's the greatest everything.
So I thought that basketball game was a lot more fun and a lot more watchable. Of course, helps like model after a video game than the original one. It helps. I think having the announcers was great. Like Ernie Johnson is the best, and awesome that they got to have him on there too. But I digress. We're never gonna end the show. So, go check out our friends over at the Outer Haven and Last Word Gaming. I'm on the. I don't know. I think it's going to be on. I think it may be out today. If not, Tuesday. I'm on the latest spectator mode as well. We talked about a few of these things as well: Stream Deck and Switch OLED and a few other things. So yeah, until next week. I think we're gonna probably wind up doing the Monday as well because it's my girlfriend's birthday next week. So definitely the weekend I will be busy, but we'll be back on the Tuesday, like you saw us this week. And hopefully, if you enjoy, hit subscribe, ring the bell, whatever other phrase I got to tell you, so that whenever we do a show, it's there for you and you can watch it, listen to it, however it is you want to enjoy us. And if you watch this live on Twitch or the Facebook group, thank you so much. And remember, you can go back to it at any point and watch us through there if you want to as well. So until next time, folks, enjoy your games. See you later.
Later.
Bye.